So how do we get there? Thank you. So how do we get there? We have a policy objective, we have a policy opportunity here to make something good from this terrible catastrophe. And Jackie laid it out. Ban new ocean oil drilling, promote clean uses of ocean energy. Now, to do that, we have popular opinion moving behind us. But we don't have our leadership, our policy-making leadership there. To get there, we need to convince the people who are still not convinced. We've done a lot of talking to the choir here today. I'm going to ask the 10 questions, the 10 objections that people who don't support these policies want answers to. The people who are not convinced yet, the people who are critical thinkers and who are not comfortable with these policy objectives. And I've done you a favor. We at Oceana have been pushing this objective for a while now. We've heard many of these objections, 200 press interviews just since the spill, testimony in Congress a couple years ago where they kept us 3 hours. I've distilled down the 10 toughest questions. And I have them on this advanced technological device. And I'm going to ask them in order, and I'm going to answer them. And I've done this sincerely. I think these are the 10 smartest, kind of common sense, critical objections people make to the 2 policy outcomes that could generate something good out of this catastrophe. First one, and you hear this if you listen to talk radio. Isn't this Deepwater Horizon drilling disaster just like an airplane crash? And we don't shut down aviation when airplanes crash, right? Well, the answer is no. This is not like an airplane crash. In an airplane crash, most of the victims are on board the airplane. In this case, most of the victims are the millions of the people who live all around the Gulf of Mexico. The people of the Gulf are innocent bystanders to this disaster. This is more like the guy who built the campfire against regulations in the dry season and burned down the national forest and all of the towns and cities that were around it. That's the metaphor of what we live through here. We should have laws against ocean oil drilling just like we have laws against dry season campfires. Not because every camper lets his campfire get out of control, because all you need is one. Next question. All right. But there are 3,600 production platforms in the Gulf, and only one blew out. You'll hear that on talk radio too. Look, we're not calling for closure of the drilling platforms. You can pump out the wells once they're drilled. Once they're drilled, the risks reduce. They don't go to zero, but they go down. Most of the rigs operating in the Gulf of Mexico before the April 20th blowout are deepwater rigs. And the facts are that the destruction that we have witnessed don't make that risk tolerable. All right, the next question. Isn't this just a deep water drilling problem? Can't we continue in the shallow water? Ocean oil drilling in shallow water is very risky. Let me give you 2 names you've probably heard of, Ixtoc and Montera. One of the very worst, the top 3 oil drilling disasters of all time was called Ixtoc. It was in hundreds of feet of water. And last year off the coast of Australia, a spill that took 11 weeks to contain called Montera, also in hundreds of feet of water. This is not, the government records show that shallow water drilling is a dangerous activity, hard to control. All right, next question. Okay then, don't we need to keep drilling in the oceans to keep gasoline affordable? I understand it's risky, you've convinced me it's risky, I don't really like all those risks, but I also don't want to pay $4, $5, $6 a gallon for my gas, so I'm willing to swallow all these horrible things. The answer is no. We import 60% of our oil. We've heard that from other speakers here today. Now, when British Petroleum, now called BP, or any other oil company discovers oil off the coast of the United States of America, what price do they sell it at? Do they sell it at a special discount? Or do they sell it at the price that we are already showing we are willing to pay because we're importing 60% of our oil? Which price do they sell it at? Of course, they sell it at the market price. And the market price is set on a world market. If we are at 60% of imports now, you are always going to be importing. In any kind of realistic future you want to think about, you're going to be importing a lot of oil, and any find in American waters will be sold by that oil company at the market price, which is the price we are paying to import. So the people who chanted "Drill, baby, drill" 2 summers ago, and who said this was a way to solve $4 a gallon gasoline, were wrong. They were wrong. That was a false policy idea, and it was completely wrong. And we need to convince people of that and teach them that. All right. Now, don't we need it for energy independence? Even if it's not going to make the price go down, don't I want this domestic drilling for energy independence? You know what? There is a path to energy independence, but it's not through oil drilling. In the sea or on the land, as other speakers have said, America consumes more than 20% of the world's oil production. Our domestic reserves are slightly more than 2%. We cannot drill, as the President himself said in the State of the Union speech, we cannot drill our way to energy independence on the basis of oil. But we can become energy independent. And you have to define energy, especially electrical energy and other non-oil forms of energy, as what you're doing. And wind power from the ocean should be a really big part of that solution. All right, don't we need to do it for jobs? Well, this disaster proves one thing for sure. If you thought ocean oil drilling was good for jobs, you were wrong. Ocean oil drilling has become the biggest jobs killer we've seen in modern times. 300,000 jobs in the Gulf of Mexico on recreational fishing depend on recreational fishing. That in commercial jobs, that in tourism jobs. This is a disaster for jobs. Clean investments provide 3 times the jobs per dollar invested. All right, 3 more questions. We don't do it, won't we displace demand to less safe places? We saw some of them here, like Nigeria. You know what? America should lead. If the policy advice is we cannot clean up and manage our oceans until the lowest, slowest, dirtiest, most corrupt government in the world does it, that's not a path to any kind of future that we want to be a part of, nor is it a recommendation we should take as Americans. All right, second to last question. If ocean wind power is such a good idea, why isn't it happening? Guess who has been given authority for ocean wind power in the United States of America? The Marine Minerals Service. The same MMS people who approved the Deepwater Horizon drill rig with a safety plan that talked about saving walruses. This is the same enterprise, folks. Won't ocean wind power hurt the oceans? No, it won't. If you do it right, you can do it in a very sensible way, and studies of big wind power installations in Norway show that it can have very minimal impact on the oceans. The last question is, I don't use electricity in my car. Well, I think you will someday. Thanks very much.